Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming. Let's start the conversation about stop accepting excuses and leading from the accountability zone. I want to paint a picture for you. Have you ever come to the end of a task with a group of people or a project and found that almost everything is pear-shaped? It doesn't look the way you thought. Ever had that experience? Nod your head, say, yeah, okay. And when you look back, you're able to, and you're ruthlessly honest with yourself. It was inevitable that it was going to go that way. Have that experience? Say yes. Our inquiry today is, what does it take to not walk past things when you see it for the first time? How you develop the muscle, like going to the gym, to hold people up against the promises that they made and deliver when you ask them to deliver. Who's interested? So I'm going to give you some little tips and things that I've learned over the years. To start off with, let me give you one of my experiences. About a decade ago, we were rewriting the code and re-establishing the website to run the integrity and values profile. Now, many of you have done it. This was a 6-month project and we had a hard deadline. In fact, I'd chosen the deadline. How many of you chose the deadline and then, you had to walk past the deadline? Well, no, I was really smart. I really made it hard. I couldn't walk past that deadline. The people that were supplying us with the site that ran that secure site for us were not going to continue running that kind of work. We had to fix it. Now, I chose a really good deadline. I chose the 31st of December, midnight. They could shut it down. Everyone was going to be partying. No one was going to come onto the integrity and value site, were they, at midnight on New Year's Eve? So we'd chosen our provider. I didn't know anything about how you did it. I just knew what I wanted. Big promises were made. Have you ever had those big promises? Big promises, oh yes, we can do this and we can do that. And I thought they were a little bit over the top. I wandered past that one. And in the first meeting to launch the project, the code writer and the service provider said some things. And I had this tiny niggling feeling in the back of my mind. Ever had that? I thought, there's something not quite right here. And then I went, oh, well, it'll be all right because I don't know anything about this and they do. My excuse was that. Time went by and I kept seeing small deadlines missed with very good justifications and excuses and stories. About 2 months out, I knew we're in trouble. This is not going to happen. And remember I said I couldn't extend the deadline. We were done. We had to deliver. A new site needed to work from the 1st of January because a lot of our clients recruit in January and they use our profile as part of their recruiting process. So this was really interesting. We were in trouble. Jay, who's now my business partner, took over and cleaned up the mess. I vividly recall his wife saying to me that he was beside himself. And on the last evening, that is New Year's Eve, when they'd usually go out partying, he was sitting in front of the computer, going through the code, figuring it out, working out if it was working. Remember, this was 10 years ago. You don't have some of the check-ins that you have now along the way. And he was redoing other people's work. He saved our bacon. The impact on him was huge. New Year was not fun. I think he collapsed on the 1st when it worked. He lost sleep and lived with the anxiety of everything going wrong. How many of you can relate to this story? Something similar has happened in your business. What have you walked past and not held people to account for? What have you put yourself and your people through because you failed to call it when you heard it, when you saw it? Today we're going to explore this topic and give you a few ways to think about accountability and tools for account holding. Who's interested? Cool. So for those of you who have not been on our our webinars before, we'll send you to breakout rooms. Now, the first question is always about the topic. Go back into your breakout room. If you haven't introduced yourself, do so. Who are you? Where you're from? Where you're located? And our first question is, what does the word accountability mean? What does it actually mean? Off you go. Hello and welcome back. So what does this word mean? Accountability. Simply said, it's our ability to account for. And if you take the word and go look at it, it's telling you inside of the word what it actually means. When you lead, you are responsible as a leader to hold people to account. It's one of the biggest issues in leadership is that we do not want to be the baddie or to be seen as being difficult. And we fail to hold people accountable when it's actually our role as a leader. It is our major role. Make sure the job gets done. In the integrity and values profile, we actually measure accountability. And our definition for it is the strength and ease with which you can hold other people to agreed upon behaviours. For example, targets, deadlines, and performance standards. It's pretty simple, hey? Easy words. We understand them, yet what is it that stops us from doing it? If you can hold people to what they are accountable to you for, so remember they're accounting to you. You're responsible to get the job done. That doesn't mean that you do the job. How many of you have got other people's work on your desk? Come on, everyone put your hand up. You're doing other people's jobs. That's, you pick up any piece of paper on your desk and it's not supposed to be there. That's because you are not holding someone else accountable. So there's two parts. There's what you have been given to do. Yeah? Your role is be responsible for what other people do. And then you are the holder of their accountability. Today we're talking about being the holder of the accountability. What does that take? What does it look like? What does it take to hold people up against what they promised? I'm being mean to you all now. You promised when you took on the role to lead inside of your organization, you promised that you would get people to do the job. That's the promise you made. Now you've got other people's work on your desk. How about that? Are you doing your job? Oh, I'm horrible. So it's a confront that, isn't it? To think of it that way. You promised you get other people to do the job. And now you're doing it for them. One of you is not necessary. So think about that. Whenever I pick up someone else's job, that's how I think. I'm going to send you out to another breakout room now. And last webinar, we discussed responsibility. This one is all about accountability. And I'm going to send you off to talk about what is the difference between responsibility and accountability. Off you go. Welcome back. So what is the difference between responsibility and accountability? Here's my experience is most people have these two things completely collapsed. They think they're one and the same thing. They're not. And you're responsible to hold people accountable. Can you see the distinction and the difference? You're responsible for the result that you're supposed to be producing inside of the business. You're the holder of the accountability for anyone who works inside of the business or on your team. So responsibility is total ownership for our promises, mistakes, and victories. And I put "and victories" in there. We also measure this in the integrity and values profile. And the language for responsibility is me. I'm responsible. What's my part in this? And I. So responsibility is me, my, I. If you don't hear those words come out of people's mouths when you're holding them to account, you know that they're not being responsible for what they did. So let's uncollapse these two things. Accountability is your ability to account for. Your job is to account for the task that other people are doing. And the language for accountability is who, what, by when, and how. So there's 4 words. Who's doing this? What are they doing? When do you want it? And how. Now, sometimes the how you don't need to do anything about. You've recruited someone who's supposed to know how. If you notice it going a bit pear-shaped, you better go ask. So, it does not mean when you're holding people to account that you have to be some nasty pasty. And if you do not know these 4 questions to ask yourself and them, you cannot effectively hold people to account. So if you don't know this, take a picture of this slide on your screen and put it up on your desk. And the next time you're asking someone, you want to go, who's doing this? What are they doing? When do I want it? When people are in an integrity and values profile with, a program with us, one of the things that they do is send us a weekly update. It's a reflection opportunity on how things went for the week. And they need to have it in our inbox 5 p.m. on Monday. When is it late? 1 minute past 5, 30 seconds past 5, it's late. The harder and tighter you call it, the easier your life becomes. It's late. So who's responsible for doing this? Holding people up against it. On our website, you can go to the website, and on the right-hand side, you'll see an accountability test that you can do. 9 or 10 questions. Out of the hundreds and hundreds of respondents that we've had just from that little test, 61% of people don't deliver what they were asked to deliver when they were asked to deliver it. And 40% of them do not deliver on time. Consider this. How much is that costing your organization? Who could agree with some of these stats? That is what's actually happening in your business. Who's frustrated by it? Like you really want to find someone to shoot, right? Well, go and take the gun and put it to your own head because you didn't do what you needed to do. You didn't say what you needed to say. So, of course, we know all of this. Let's give you some things that will make a difference for you. Now, I gave you my answer to this question when I told my story about the website. The thing that comes out of my mouth when I don't want to hold people accountable is, oh, it'll be all right. You'll see. Now, I'm going to send you off to a breakout room now, and you're going to tell a little one on yourself. What is it that comes out of your mouth? You know, there'll be something that you say to yourself. Hey, is that true? There's something you say to yourself. That's what I say to myself. Oh, it'll be all right. You'll see. I'll even enroll you and sell you on my idea that it'll be all right. So what's the thing that you say to yourself? And what we're going to do right now is send you off to a breakout room. You can have a little chat amongst yourselves. What's the words that come out of your mouth when you don't want to hold people to account? Off you go. Welcome back. So who said something like this? Oh, they're working really hard, so don't push it. They could leave. How have you got a variance of that? And they're so busy. They're really busy. And they've got so much on. I'll just do it myself. It'll be quicker. How many of you got that one? I'll just do it myself. It'll be quicker. And I'll fix it. I'll fix it. You'll see. I'll fix it. And they did their best. They really did. They did their best. And now I'll just go do it. And they're getting better. What's that supposed to mean? Someone said that to me, one of my CEOs recently. She said, oh, they're better. And I said, what's that supposed to mean? They're better than last week? They're better. What is that supposed to mean? No, better is do the job. Do what you said you were going to do. Whatever you say, you end up with other people's work on your desk. And things go a bit pear-shaped. All because you do not want to hold them to account. So remember the aura bed flip chart, right? This one. Which side of the line are you on when those words come out of your mouth? You know, when I said, remember my story, oh, it'll be all right, you'll see. What side of the line is that conversation? And how much is it going to cost me? $2. It has taken something for me to interrupt myself. You know, when you're wanting to learn something new, to go and do it, it takes something. And the amount of effort that you need to put into it is huge. So when I first started and I realized how poorly I held people to account, and I realized that those were the words that came out of my mouth, I became, no, that's wrong. And it used to drive Jay insane. Because I'd go, that's wrong. And he'd go, is anything right around here? And I'd go, no, it's all wrong. Nothing's right. And until I could get myself into, hang on a second, ask the question before something is wrong, it's a lot easier. Because notice that we just go tootling past something. We just go walkie-walkie, talkie-talkie, pretending it's all right when we know it's not. So, what does it take to interrupt? This flip chart, which some of you already know, is one of our famous integrity and values flip charts. What does it take to take ownership, responsibility, and accountability? So we've talked about responsibility. Here we're talking about accountability. When we do that, when we hold people to account, we get freedom. We become proactive. When we see something for the first time, we say something. How many of you know that you had the niggle in the first week of a project? Put your hand up. You saw it. I saw it. And you go, oh no, it'll be all right, or whatever the thing is that you say. When you don't take responsibility and hold people to account, you feed the victim in you and them. Or you're getting into bed with that blame or shame, excuses and justifications, and defense and denial. Above the line, you give people choices and yourself. Below the line, you remove choices and you become a prisoner to the story. You've got a ball and chain around your leg and you're dragging it around, and that story keeps things where it is. So either you begin to own your part in your inability to be responsible for what you said you would do, and then to hold people accountable for what they said they would do. Otherwise, we will fight for the limitations that are set there. And in the moment that you fail to do this, you wake up something in yourself. I know for me, I wake the fraud. She's alive and well because I'm not doing what I said I would do. I've watched leaders live their lives in hope that people will do it. So either start holding people to account or you will take orders. And some of the orders that you take, you won't like. So I'm going to begin. The next breakout question is, what happens when we accept below the line stories? What happens to you, them, and the organization? Off you go. What happens when we accept excuses and justifications and all those below the line stories that we hear? When we do, it gives you a way out, me a way out as the leader, and it lets them off the hook. And it lets you off the hook. And all it does is it kicks the ball down the road. At some point, you are going to have to pick up that ball. So when you accept those excuses and those justifications and blaming anyone else and the denial and the defense about what's going on, it's a treasonable act against the organization, and it's a treasonable act against your own value structure. Those are strong words, hey? If your organization has a set of values, in the moment that you do that, you contravene the values. And your people are watching you. They know that that's what you did. And they get really peed off that you do not hold people accountable, especially those people who do deliver. It's the lie that we tell ourselves. And we even conscript people into it. So when we accept those stories, we license the past. You might want to take a picture of this. What lies do you take on board inside of your organization? You license the past. You say it's okay that they didn't do it. You ignore the present and its impact. So ignore the present and there is an impact. And you extinguish the future. Imagine what it's like for those people who work their little selves off the table to get things done, and then those who don't. Then they go, oh, it's okay around here, you don't have to do it, and no one gets actually held to account about it. And we then enroll people in this lie, and they become co-conspirators with us in maintaining it. When we buy and sell those lies, because by the way, we sell them too as leaders, and other people buy them off us. It destroys the fabric of our own self-belief. We don't know ourselves as someone who will produce the result and hold people to account. And we find ourselves feeling highly fraudulent. The only way that we stop this is to stop perpetuating the lie. Stop endorsing it. Stop accepting excuses. And here's the thing, you cannot wait until you're perfect to start doing this. In the moment you hold other people to account, this has been the thing that I've learned the hardest way. In the moment I hold someone else, I hold me. I take responsibility, and then I get the freedom. Remember my story about the website. And one of the stories that I had inside of that was, no one has attempted to do what we were doing. We were one of the first people that put a profile online for a tiny little business like ours. And here we were doing it again. There was code that was not written. You could not take HTML to a PDF. We wanted that code. It's interesting. You can do it now. Click of your thumb. Click of your fingers, not your thumbs. Right? You can do it now. It wasn't available back then. So here's something that will make a difference for you. Give people in your organization permission to challenge you when you don't hold people to account. Recently, in one of my weekly updates from a client, he told me how he'd asked everybody, you can hold me to account. So be careful what you wish for. He got it in the neck the next week when one of his managers went to him and said, what lie are we perpetuating here? We are supposed to be producing this as a result, 100 enrollments. And we just celebrated that we reduced the price of the leads. We still didn't get our 100 enrollments, but we pretended how fabulous we were. And he said, and you perpetuated that lie. How much is it going to cost this business? He said, stop celebrating things that don't work. And he sent me a photo where he wrote down what I said, nothing's all right around here, everything's wrong, right? And when you're wanting to dig yourself out of a hole in your business and stop something, you need something strong to interrupt you. Notice what lies you accept. It wasn't my fault, they're to blame, he was supposed to do it, I didn't do it, they didn't answer my email. I think that's the famous one. They didn't answer, I wrote to them, they didn't answer my email. I asked for it and they didn't respond. They didn't come back and tell me anything, right? Oh, they just ignored me. I'm sure you've heard it all. What you accept and what you walk past is the standard that you're setting in the business. And it's tough and hard when you want people to get along and everyone to play happy families and have a lovely time. It's not like that. So there are practices that support you to hold people to account. Gaining that muscle makes all the difference. I'm going to give you a couple of pieces of homework that will support you to do this. Who's interested? Say yes. Everyone say yes. Okay. So the first piece of homework, you're all sitting at your desks. I can see it. It's lovely. All right. So I want you to look down on your desk. Everybody look down at your desk and pick up that piece of paper that's not yours. Come on, pick it up. Show me. Everyone pick up that thing that someone, there you go, very good. Okay, now what I want you to do is go give it to someone else as soon as we finish today. Write their name on it right now. Oh, he's got a whole tray full of them. Well done. Okay, so ask yourself this question. Who's this to be done? Like those 4 questions. Who's supposed to be doing this? Write their name on it. What do you want done and by when? Who can I give this to? Now, sometimes there's things that are on your desk that you're supposed to have given to someone and you haven't. Then ask yourself the question, who am I going to give this to? Now, when your desk is empty on all those things that you're supposed to be doing, guess what will happen? You'll start thinking more strategically about the business. You'll have time to do that strategic thinking about your department, about what's supposed to be happening. Who's interested in that as a sense of freedom? You need that. You need that time and that energy. Right. So, and when you stop giving people, you keep giving things away. Just give it away, give it away, give it away. When they start screaming, you need another resource. They go, oh, I can't do anymore. You go, great, get another resource. You rob your people of growth. Right? So the next one is stop answering questions. So there's one, give it away. The next one is stop answering questions. When you keep answering questions for your people, you rob your people of growth if you answer their questions. Now, most people who come and ask you a question have thought about it. And they kind of have an idea about what the answer is. And they're coming to you for what? Reassurance. The only thing that comes out of your mouth when people ask you questions from now on, you want to free up your time, is what do you think? And if they say, oh, I don't know, you go and ask 3 other people, then come back and see me. That'll free up your time, won't it? How many of you spend a lot of time giving people answers to inane questions? Yeah? It's exhausting, so stop it. They go and ask three people what they think, then come back to you. It's not your job to answer questions. It's your job to get people to think. And when we do answer questions, it feeds our ego, by the way, and that we know everything. You know, most leaders live in the world of I know. Well, I want you to start living in the world of I don't know. Then you'll learn something. So, little by little, as you do these things, take the work off your desk, stop asking questions, and hold people up against what you want. There will be a major, major difference. If you keep doing what you're currently doing and you don't have triggers to stop you, you're the one who's exhausted. How many of you are tired? Come on, put your hand up. You're tired. And a lot of it is because you're doing all the thinking. So you want them to do the thinking. People in this country are paid enough money to think. Yeah? So structures that will trigger you. Otherwise, you will have what I call the battle of the wills. It will be your will against their will. And guess what? If there's 5, 10, 15 people in your team or organization or that you have influence over, you've got 10 against 1. Who do you think's winning? They are. And this isn't that kind of battle. The battle is have the business, the organization thrive. To have it thrive, you do your job, be the account holder. When you're doing it, there's another thing that we think is really important. If you're going to have these conversations and hold people to account, you need to go really, really hard, tough on the issue. What's the issue? Tough like a diamond on what is going on here that isn't working. This is one of our really famous flip charts, because if you're going to lead and become a great account holder, learn to do this. And then go soft, like a fluffy cloud on the person. People come to your workplace wanting to do what's right. They didn't wake up this morning and go, I think I'll just go and give Mick a really hard time. Right? I won't do anything. I'll make him do it all. And especially Heath. He's up for doing all my work. Right? That isn't how it works. They come wanting to do what's right. And we as leaders create the environment for that to happen. So hard like a diamond. Yeah, on the issue. The issue is what has not been done. Soft like a fluffy cloud on the person. So what are the three things that I want you to just think now, what are the three things that you're walking past right now? What are they? Yeah? I want you to write them down. 3 things that you notice, just little niggly things. Write them down. Now, don't go really hard on that's supposed to be done, that's the thing. And what is it about this that isn't, and no stories, what's happening here that it's not being done? So, either if you do not have these conversations, you are about to pay. And we have a saying at Integrity and Values, you either pay now, slide, or you pay later. Yeah? You pay now, you pay less. Pay later, pay more. How many of you are paying too much? You've been paying a lot for the mistakes and the things that you've walked past. So stop paying. Go and have that conversation. So how did my website story end? Yes, we got the site at an enormous price. We actually had to change the service provider and who was writing things and who was doing things at the 11th hour. Why? Because I didn't do my job as the leader. How many of you are conscious of the things that you didn't do as a leader and what impact that had on your people? Very often we do not see the impact on our staff when we don't hold others to account. It is always there. And at the end of the day, everyone pays. They pay in time, energy, money. Sometimes the money is immaterial to the time and the energy. People leave our organisations because we don't hold them to account. This is one of the most important skills that you will learn as a leader. My invitation to you, stop paying. Pay now, you'll pay less. Because if you leave it, you will pay more later. Thank you for being here.